Hey there and welcome back to another your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man video. And today we're going to be talking about episode 9, Hero or Menace, which follows off from Peter getting his hands on the classic red and blue suit, courtesy of Harry, Octavius getting arrested, and Lonnie and the crew getting ready to fight against Scorpion once they get their hands on some gear to level the playing field. This season's been so good so far, and so let's hope they finish things off with a bang. Okay, let's jump into things, shall we? We start off the episode with Doc Ock in his jail cell where he's seemingly been given access to the Sokovia Accords and a number of legal books to explain why he's been arrested and on what justifications, etc, etc. I have to say though, even without the Accords, surely distributing black market weapons to criminals is against the law and would get him a hefty prison sentence, right? So it's not like it even matters. Of course, the best part of this scene is that he doesn't even seem to focus on the fact that he's in legal trouble. Instead, he's mostly angry that the copy of the Accords he's been given has grammatical errors in them. He even tells the guard that he plans to represent himself in court. When I did legal studies in high school, my teacher always used to say that he who represents himself in court has a fool for a client. Pretty sure he's going to somehow get his sentence increased to maximum. A guard then comes to find Otto and tells him that he has a visitor, which is where we see Norman. Last episode, Norman told Peter he had an errand to run, and I suppose this is it. His victory lap, his chance to dunk on Octavius. I will admit, this scene took me by surprise in its tone and was very funny. We normally see Norman as this rather serious character. Yes, there are times where he can be warm and kind, but this is different. He's cracking jokes, he's laughing, bragging about how Oscorp is better than ever and he's rich and powerful, whilst Otto's going to be stuck behind bars forevermore. He tells him about how he is the one that found his location, and he's the one who's going to have access to everything Octavius has been working on. All his life's work now belongs to Oscorp for free. Whilst Octavius tries to act like the big man and talk down to him, he does eventually snap and start ranting and raving as he gets dragged away. This was actually very vindictive for Norman, wasn't it? I guess you could say he had something to prove and he has every right to behave this way, but it does feel like there was some extra disdain in all of that, as if Norman really was angry and needed to settle a score. I suspect that he's far angrier about Otto leaving Oscorp and striking out on his own with the stuff they worked on together than he let on when he talked with Peter about it. And I kind of think this bodes ill for Peter. At the moment, they're still a team, but it's clear that the story is building to Spider-Man striking out alone with his little team Spider-Man. Which, judging by this scene, I'm not sure Norman's going to appreciate that at all. It feels like this scene is intentionally lighthearted in tone and is framed as humorous for the audience, but at the same time, it shows there's perhaps a darker side to his personality. Then it's over to Lonnie and the gang, who have arrived on the scene of Otto's lab to find Oscorp loading up on all the tech, with a pretty minimal police escort. With this much powerful tech being transported, you'd think they'd have a bit more security though, right? No? Just a handful of cops? That feels reckless and risky. Anyway, it seems that Lonnie's not fully on board with trying to perform highway robbery. Fair enough, it is a bit of a risk. Also, is there any reason they're not wearing, I don't know, balaclavas or masks or something like that, just planning on knocking off an Oscorp truck, complete with NYPD escort in broad daylight with nothing to hide who they are? Feels very risky. The last people to do something like that were those Russians, and as we saw last episode, now Dimitri has to wear a mask out in public so he doesn't get caught. We briefly check in with Pearl and Nico, who are hanging out together that day, and who seem to be developing a friendship of their own. It's a pretty throwaway scene that doesn't last long, and I guess it's just there to bridge the gap of what Nico's been up to, whilst Peter's on his way to the heist, and Lonnie's performing the heist. So all three of their paths can converge. Then the heist begins, and it's extremely reckless and dangerous, and they're lucky nobody actually died in this section. The truck gets battered a lot, and in an attempt to speed away, the driver loses control and is about to slam right into Nico, who has her magical amulet ready to make the save, only for Spider-Man to swoop in with his new suit, looking awesome with epic music. Since they haven't had any time to configure the comms in his new suit, he's forced to take Nico to safety himself, which gives the goons enough time to open the back of the truck and get at the goodies. Spidey returns and webs up what feels like half the gang, which ends up being pretty unfortunate timing, as having as many goons as possible available to fight against Scorpion would have been better odds. Oh yeah, Scorpion arrives at this point, by the way, and seemingly nobody notices all the cars starting to roll up on them. Also, these are gangsters. Why do none of them have guns for this fight? Baseball bats, their fists, tire iron? Scorpion has his suit, of course, but surely somebody would have a gun and be ready to use it after what he did last time. Oh well, I guess it's the power of the plot. In what feels like a very realistic moment of hesitation, Spider-Man just stands there panicking about seeing Scorpion again, and fair enough, the dude destroyed him last time, and Peter's still only, 14 years old? That would mess with your head at any age. The episode sort of hints that they're about to fight again, only for it to pull something completely different. Scorpion goes after Don instead and is all set to kill him, with Don instantly surrendering and telling him he quits. I don't know if you're supposed to think that Don's a coward or something here, but I really get it. Although at the same time, maybe he should have quit after the first time he got destroyed by the Scorpion. Food for thought. Spidey intervenes just in time, and now the battle is on, with Spider-Man shooting his webs and dodging, but not really making much of an impact. Like we've seen before, he's still holding back, and that means he doesn't really have many options other than to dodge and chip away at him. And here is where we get the new Tombstone. Hell yeah! Lonnie runs over to help Don, who panics and runs away. Heart of a lion. I get being scared, but abandoning his gang? That's dodgy. Especially when he brought them there. I feel like there's going to be consequences for him at some point in the future. It also shows the difference between him and Lonnie. Lonnie, despite facing death, is still loyal to the gang. They're his people now. Don, he talked the talk, but he didn't walk the walk. I'm still curious as to what direction Lonnie's going to take when he takes over the gang for real. How's he going to grow and change? Camilla stands between Lonnie and the back of the truck, and finally somebody pulls out some knives. Some actual proper weapons. She comes at him, and despite being very obviously trained while he's just a random quarterback, she can't land a hit. And then she gets taken out by a spear tackle from Bulldozer. I'll be honest, I kind of expected more from her character here. Oh well, maybe next time. So Lonnie hops into the truck and knocks over a box, which releases a blue gas, which is what's going to turn him into the superpowered Tombstone. I'm going to say it took him a lot longer than it should have to notice that the blue gas is slowly flooding the back of the truck. I know he's stressed and desperately trying to find weapons to help his friends, but jeez. Need some situational awareness, son. Whilst he's choking, we briefly cut back over to Spider-Man, who's still struggling in the fight. He's not really having any success against Scorpion, but hey, at least he isn't taking much damage either. I gotta say as well, the portrayal and characterization of Scorpion is just top tier. I've only really known him from the games, and he always seemed like a bit of a dweeb character, to be honest. Here though, he seems dangerous, he seems imposing, he's got an aura about him. He really does feel like a final boss type of character, a true test for the new and improved Spider-Man. Lonnie stumbles out of the truck and collapses, while Scorpion accidentally electrocutes himself, which gives Peter time to go and check on his friend. Of course, Spidey being Spidey, takes his eye off the ball, and Mac gets back up to whoop his ass, which he does. I feel like Peter got beaten here a little bit too quickly, if you ask me, but I suppose he had to so Lonnie could get his big hero moment where he walks up and challenges Scorpion. Scorpion goes for the instant kill, and the episode does that classic fake out where you'd expect that Lonnie's just been impaled.
Oh, look at that. I've been impaled.
Which will lead to Peter freaking out and going past his limits. If I didn't know who Tombstone was, maybe it would have worked on me as well, although they did have that blue gas from earlier, so maybe it wouldn't have made any sense to kill him off before explaining what that does. So yeah, maybe it wasn't all that surprising anyway. Lonnie now has skin strong enough to keep him safe from Scorpion. And in fact, it breaks the dude's tail spike. It even fails to pierce Lonnie's hoodie. Guess the gas didn't just affect Lonnie, it made his clothing fibers indestructible too. I need me some of that. Spidey's back up and so is Scorpion, and then we have the best fight in the show's run so far. Holy shit, this is just so good. The double team moves, the music, the intensity of the action, it's all so awesome. It's also so unexpected. Tombstone and Spider-Man teaming up, hell yeah! I like that he hasn't sacrificed his morality yet. They may have done a speed run on him getting close with the gang members, but I'm glad they didn't completely alter who he is as a person. That being said, just like with the knife fight, he has some pretty absurd agility to be dodging that tail so easily. The pair seemingly double KO Scorpion, but for some reason this dude just can't get beaten. Does he have powers? Isn't he just wearing the suit? How's he still going after that? He should have brain damage. Ugh, comic logic, I guess. So Lonnie saves Peter from getting crushed by a bunch of metal beams, and is crushed in turn. Obviously, we know that he wouldn't have died from that, but Peter doesn't, and here we finally get to see what happens when Spider-Man snaps. With Norman's voice echoing in his head, the fight suddenly turns savage, and it's just a one-sided beatdown like when Scorpion got the drop on Spider-Man. The role reversal. Poetic justice. But he loses it, and then he goes to straight up kill him until Lonnie intervenes and stops him, telling him he has to be better than Scorpion. Oh, damn, this was good. So good, so damn good. I honestly didn't expect Lonnie to be like this at the end. I expected him to be a villain, angry at Peter, angry at Spider-Man. But here he is, he's still a good person. He hasn't changed fully yet. Oh, it's so good writing, and so tragic. I was worried they were going to rush him into being a villain, but here he's at that halfway point. I really enjoyed the grey morality Peter showed here as well, beyond almost killing Scorpion. He lets Lonnie go, and he doesn't try to gather up any of the other thugs from the gang. If they were simply criminals, I think he would have intervened, but now he has that personal element. Although that being said, he didn't try to stop the Scorpions leaving either, so maybe he's just tired. We cut over to Nico, who returns to the scene and ducks into an alleyway where she reflexively punches Peter in the face when he drops in on her. Because, well yeah, that would be scary. Now here, this is cathartic. Peter tries to apologize, and instead she flips the script and acknowledges that she'd been wrong to be angry at him like this. That she can understand why he kept all this a secret in the first place. So they make peace, and Peter promises from now on there's going to be no more secrets, which we know is not true. Because that magical amulet that Nico has says different. Uh-oh, drama. Although judging from Peter's personality in this show, I doubt he's going to be all that angry when he finds out about it. Based on how he's been written so far in his personality, I think that would be out of character, to be honest. Then we're off to the Parker residence, where Peter and May are watching The Bachelor, with May getting very invested. Man, this kind of stuff is very cute. Norman calls Peter to thank him for stopping the robbery, and that everything had been accounted for, with only minor damage to one item. Peter then opens up to him about how he'd listened to what he'd said, and he almost took it too far. Norman then actually acts like a very good mentor here. He tells him that Peter has all this power at his fingertips, enough to not have to listen to anybody ever, and do whatever he pleases, but he makes an active choice to be a hero. And a choice to show mercy to his enemies, which is what makes him who he is, what makes him a true hero. See, this is the thing about Norman. He does seem like a really nice guy, but you have to wait for that penny to drop. On the one hand, he clearly cares about Peter to some level, right? But does he care about Peter the person, or Spider-Man the Oscorp asset? That's what remains to be seen. As at the end of the episode here, it's revealed that they stole Peter's blood and they're testing it to make more of those spiders that can give powers. I guess the proof is going to be in the pudding. If they empower more spider people, would Norman still care about Peter? Or is it simply about making a super Oscorp team of spider people under his payroll? Things are really starting to heat up. I'm getting excited to see how it all ends. I've read somewhere that they've greenlit a season 2, which is great news if true, so I think this is probably a story for them to follow up with. Either way, hype. And so that's the end of the episode. A great one. Probably my favorite so far. That Lonnie Spider-Man team up was absolute magic. I hope there's more of that, and maybe Lonnie's more anti-hero than full-on villain. But we'll have to wait and see. With all that being said, these have all been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What did you think of the episode? Did you like it? Hate it? I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.